Alrighty. Hi there, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Bruce Lombardo, and today we are discussing on A Girl, Some Guys in a Movie, the 1942 classic paranormal film, Cat People. Oh my. Hello, Janet.
Hello, everyone. It's a black and white movie.
World champions.
So, this movie was directed by a character by the name of Jacques Tourneur, I believe.
Mhm.
And he kind of does stuff in this film that at the time it was like new because he builds the suspense a little bit and then they just have like a little literally a cat scare, like the
Mhm.
jump scares are cat scares, and it's kind of new.
This was the originator.
Yeah, like the bus scene. Just he has a bunch of those where they do a wonderful job of building everything up properly, and then
Mhm.
like you're like fuck,
It was psychological scares.
it works so well.
Hmm.
And they're kind of innocent, kind of, but it's definitely one of these films that you see and you're like, that's where they did that. That's where they got this from. Okay.
Oh, I think Bush has got us mixed up with the movie
Oh,
because we didn't
Yeah,
see
we're
any
talking about
naked.
the OG.
We're talking about the 1942 movie,
yeah.
the
That
black and white one.
he's talking about the 1982 Klaus Kinski's daughter's movie, the Natasha Kaczynski
Hmm.
or Ski.
A lot more skin in
She
that.
yes, completely. She when you're a 13-year-old boy, that's one of the best movies ever. I'll admit. Um, have you ever seen that one, Janet?
Mm-mm. That's
I
why I
know
said I
better.
hadn't seen Cat People.
I
I
know
never.
better than to ask Six Nation 31 Kings. He's probably got that movie on VHS and Laserdisc and DVD.
Hmm.
I know better.
I didn't get it on Laserdisc. That was way too expensive.
Okay.
But I saw it on TV and I loved it. And I got it on VHS. And then I got it on DVD. Sadly,
Two
I sold it
tape.
to get up here.
There's only two movies I've ever worn out the tape on, and that's Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Blazing
She
Saddles,
has a
yes.
clothing
Done that.
allergy.
It was terrible. It's so terrible. She just had to get that polyester right off.
Mhm. Yeah, I can believe that.
Really satisfying for me.
When did it come
Bush,
out? In the
you know,
1980s?
82.
getting his arm torn off.
Well, that's why. It was
It's
Something
DNA
about
time.
horror movies and dismemberment.
this
I'm gonna
movie
put it
here
on
is a little
chocolate.
different. This movie's more works in your head a lot more. It works a lot better than most movies of the 70s and early 80s. I think this
Yeah,
doesn't
this
have.
was very tame, very classy.
I
Back
would
in the
not
era
say
of,
that. I would
like.
not call this movie tame.
Well, I'm not saying it was tame. I'm saying it was classy. It was back in the
No.
era of like movie stars.
Yeah.
Where they
They
really
dressed
dressed up
way more.
and were as classy as a person that would, cross their legs when they sat down to eat, those type of things.
Yeah, it has that. It also this movie does really well with building the suspense properly. It does a
Mhm.
lot of setting the scene and the mood with the dialogue. The dialogue coaching, the dialogue scripting in this movie is absolutely 10 out of 10. I'm not going to say that Simone Simon is the best actress I've ever seen, far from. But for her being as young as she is, she does put the round peg in the round holes really well.
How old was she in this
Like
movie?
21, 22, somewhere around there. She was not an old
What was she, like 4'1" or something? She was very tiny.
sport. She was
Petite.
particularly cast because of her appearance. She looks like a cat girl.
Well, yeah, that too.
Her
They could have
whole
done her
background
eye
horror
makeup.
movies.
They could have done a lot of things with makeup and her hairstyle, things like that, to make her look more cat-like. They did the woman in the restaurant, remember?
Hmm.
everyone looked at her and said that she looked like a cat, that type of thing. But they could have done that to her, but they didn't want to because they wanted you to think it was psychological, that it wasn't real, there's no way it could be real, that she was just, from another country. She thought differently, and she grew up thinking that her father was murdered by her mother because her mother was a cat person. But the fact that that was one of the things I wish they would have explained a little more during her sessions with the psychotherapist was the fact of how it would be impossible for your mother to have gotten pregnant with you if she, couldn't even go through having sex, that type of little things. There was little things like that to me, made it harder to follow the story and understand or believe that, there could be a possibility of a person being a cat person. And it's not cat people. It would have to be cat woman because there was no men, apparently, because all the women kill everyone, their rivals or their sexual interests, which didn't make sense because I don't see how cat people are going to survive if they kill everybody, So that was kind of different.
I found it funny that during the production of this movie, there's a spy that she was kind of in a relation with, MI5 spy Dusko Popov, and Simone was under the. She had the bureau following her around throughout the whole time, and like things didn't work out well. I'm sure that kind of stressed out their relationship a bit. The United States government, when it starts getting all like butthurt about things, they're not the funnest people to be with. And then she did two more not nearly good movies for RKO Pictures. And then she was like, I'm done. Fuck this. I go to France. And that's exactly what she did. She made films. She did stage work. And like throughout her time, like you look at this movie, little 5'2" cutie like her.
She was 5'2"?
5'2".
She did not look that tall.
She
looked like 4 foot something to me.
She was very small in this movie, or they shot it properly. They did things in perspective to make you even think she was smaller than what she was. I think that was a design choice on part of the director of photography. I think the more he did that, the more Jacques was like, "Oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. Yes, do this." I could see somebody getting more excited with that, whenever like, I did not even think of doing the perspective properly. Because if you see it, like majority of shots in the movie, whenever she walked behind, whenever the two people would cross, she was typically walking behind them to make herself even look tinier than what she is. It's great. I love it.
Plus, also, you have to remember with the camera angles, like a couple of the street shots, you could tell the camera was above the vehicle at a little bit of an angle down, but not to see the ground at their feet, but just enough to make it look like she was way smaller. That she was very
perception that you're obviously seeing the top of her head. She's just a small little thing. It's great.
Yeah, so the camera angles were very, I loved it. I noticed so many of them, the way that they shot the camera down the staircase from the opposite side. So you could see how it twirled down as it, went down, and how massive it was. It was very, very, they used every inch of set in these shots. So the director definitely was very visual. It's like I said, backstage, I was talking about how it reminded me a lot of Alfred Hitchcock at the angles he used, up, down, lighting, shadows.
I think this was actually used by Hitchcock. Jacques Tourneur films were used by Hitchcock as like a test for like how he could get forced perspectives in and how he could pinch every penny, because his movies were not known to be blockbuster budgets, were they? I don't remember any of his films ever being discussed like this is the most expensive movie out of Tinseltown today.
It's popular due to no more than the budget.
I mean, what other movies did he direct?
I always when I think of him, I think of things like The Birds, which is not a very ornate special effects heavy movie.
Oh, I was talking about this director.
Oh, this guy here.
What other movies did he direct?
Real quick, let me check.
Okay. Yeah, I was very impressed. I thought the everyone he gathered for this movie on such a small budget of $136,000. I don't know how long it took to film it, but the
Like
costumes.
51 days.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't
Okay,
very
the
long. It was like a month and a half.
costumes, the set design, little things like that. Now, there were a few kinks I saw in the continuity part, but if this was a new director and he really hadn't done much, and the people that they hired were at a lower rank, because of the money, the budget, problems, maybe that is why
The
there was a few
director
mistakes.
was
And I did
prolific with
see
film.
a couple.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
really?
did like 25 movies before this one came out. It's just that
He
the
did?
editing team, yeah,
Well, maybe it was all the budget then, the
I think it's
continuity
all
problems.
budget. I think budget.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because the less money you're offering to your employees to film, the less likely they're going to be really skilled in that
Come on,
department,
let's get this
unless
done.
they
We have
forfeit
a
the
porn
money
to
because
make
they
in 2
really want
months.
to make
Let's
this
go.
movie.
We
Sorry,
got
I didn't hear you.
on this movie. I have a porn to make in 2 months. Come on.
But the thing is that I thought he squeezed every penny out of the people, the set design, the costumes, the editing, every dime that he could squeeze out of everyone. Because you got to remember, they had to feed everyone on set. They had to get them back and forth to, to where they were going to film, unless it was all done in a production, studio.
I don't think that's the
But
case. I
the
don't think it was
one.
all done on studio. I think there's some shots that are exterior outside the set.
If
Well,
you
like
take into consideration,
Sorry.
this is a low budget film.
Mhm.
It's under an hour and 30 minutes. It's like an
Hour
hour
and
and
13 minutes,
12,
including
13,
the
something like
credits.
that. And then the amount of stuff that is crammed into this film
Mhm.
is absolutely amazing.
It is amazing how much detail is in this. The scene where he brings her a kitten, with the little kitten in the box as a gift because she's new to America and to her apartment. And man, it was massive. That's the one thing that almost always gives it away that it was filmed in a studio is the high ceiling. There's never ending ceilings. Oh, 18 days.
Yeah, my
Wow.
bad.
He did a
I gave you
phenomenal
the
job.
proper amount. It was, I think, 52 days, including pre and post production, but they filmed it 18 days.
They did a great job then. It was very, very well done.
RKO was worried shitless that this was not strong enough to go up against Universal's brand of horror films.
Mhm. Well, see, to me, this was more like The Changeling. I'm trying to think of some old movies. Can you think of any older movies? Because I don't know any movies from the 40s, so I can't help you with that.
I'm thinking of like the 1930s like crime noir films that they showed the reaction to like a grisly murder, but you'd never see the body. You'd never
Yeah.
see the blood. You'd never see the gore. And
There was
so
no blood in this one.
whatever happened, you would always have it in your head. It was always far worse in your head up until the great god of Rob Bottin came out in The Howling and The Thing and did wonderful work. God bless him. Praise be his name. But up until him, like it was always better to keep the viscera off screen, keep the nasty shit off screen. Like if you have a Lon Chaney like hairy man shot, you keep it on set for 3 seconds at most. And after that, quick cut back to the other actors, let them react, let them get that shock face. Don't linger. This guy, this is amazing. The shit that went through my head as I'm watching this film, and I'm like, this is really good. I'm digging this.
Yeah, the scene where he takes her back to the pet shop to exchange the kitten for another animal because the cat doesn't want to go with her because she's afraid of him or afraid of the young woman, whatever, we don't know, but she just says cats don't like me. whatever. So when they go back and they go in, it's raining out. You can see the rain through the window. And when they open the door, you can hear the rain, the sound of rain outside. So they did really good on the sound for the quality and things like that. But also the umbrella was actually wet, which was good. But the fact that when he left and he was going out the door after he was inside the pet shop, his coat was wet. That is another detail that a lot of people with low budget movies seem to forget. The continuity part, to make it look like they really came from outside, things like that. And the little old lady just sitting in a rocking chair in the middle of the pet shop was pretty good. But the fact they were able to get all the animals on cue to act excited, the monkeys, and then you had the birds all flapping their wings, and and the cats meowing, things like that when she came in, because she scared everyone basically, or they didn't like her. So, but then the woman did mention the fact that she had a sister-in-law that did the same thing. So was her sister-in-law also a cat person? You see, I'm just saying it was interesting, and it was very good. The detail of it.
There's the curse of the cat people.
And they're all women, apparently.
Fucking amazing. And there's another movie in this universe called The Seventh Victim, where Tom Conway plays Dr. Lewis Judd again. It's something that piqued my interest when I was reading through the trivia. I'm like, I think I need to see this. Another RKO film that has this continuation of this little universe. I think that's great. They didn't have TV series at the time, but they had guys with a vision to where they could continue playing with a character a couple years here, a couple years there. They make out a little 80-minute film here and there. That's perfect. Perfect.
Well, one thing I wanted to say was the movie, I guess, is it listed as a horror film?
It is actually listed as a horror film on IMDb.
Okay, because to me it wasn't frightening, like Friday the 13th, or Freddy and Jason, all those different type of movies like that with shocks and gore. It was like an eerie, mysterious blend of I don't know, tantalizing, like I said,
paranormal thriller and suspense.
Yeah, I think it was more of a suspense thriller than it was a horror to me. But the part, like I said, that really intrigued me was when he first met her and they go up to her apartment and she's going to make tea for him. And they go in, or coffee or whatever it was, when they go in and he says, intriguing scent. Okay. Your perfume is very intriguing. It's almost warm and inviting, that type of thing. It made you really think about that, the sense of your scent, your smell, your sense of smell, and how powerful that is when it comes to the psychological point of view through the movie and through the moviegoer, trying to imagine what she smelled like, a little bit like lavender, but warmer. He said it didn't smell very floral, that type of thing. It was just really intriguing. Just little things like that, little subtleties that the director made sure was in there to get your mind working in the back once she starts. And then the time goes by and he kind of seems like he's always falling asleep and stuff when he's around her through the different scenes. Mm-hmm. And she said she liked the dark, so little tidbits of information to lean you toward when the stuff comes out later about her thinking that she turns into a cat, and can hurt people. So I don't know. I just thought that was very different than any normal horror movie would be. So I liked that part of it.
Yeah, it was strong on the psychological. Mm-hmm. Like you think at one point it's like, is this just like sexual tension and something that's just, can it be worked out and everything will be fine after a couple of sessions? Or is this actually something supernatural? Because they touch base on the old-timey folklore of witches and unchristian heathens being kicked out of their villages and whatnot, and then living in the mountains. And it's like, okay, so like, what kind of creepy hoodoo out there is going on with these beast people?
Yeah, because it was, I like that it was like a dark undertones framed by everyday life. It's like, this is them, they're at work and what they do at work and how they interact. And then he meets her at the zoo because I don't know why they went to the zoo. I guess they were taking a break from their job, and she was drawing. And because she threw that paper and missed the trash can, it caused him to turn and look at her. Okay, so that's how he met her in the first place. And I just thought that was interesting, the way that they intertwined this mystery basically, of a woman who came from another country, Serbia, right? And she's new to America, and their everyday lives, and how her job caused her to be out in the town to take some, to draw some pictures or whatever, I guess, for her job, whatever it was. We never really do find out where she works. It's just that he was intrigued by her, and that's how he met her. It's because she missed the trash can at the zoo. But it was very erotic, even though there was no sex. And I think there was 2 kisses in the whole movie.
Yeah, that's
right?
it.
Yeah, it's like, I think 2 kisses, but it was still very sexually undertones in a lot of scenes, simply because of the way that they interacted with each other. Even the scene where his friend, what was her name? The girlfriend.
Alice.
Yeah, Alice told him when she realized that he was having problems in his relationship because they're not having sex at all. So I thought that was interesting, the way he contained himself for over a month, where they never had sex and they were married. And that she slept in a different room, and all this different stuff. And I just thought that was intriguing, the whole way they handled that. Where he would knock on the door, and you could hear the water running, like she was going to take a bath and stuff. Today, if you made this movie today, everybody would think, well, she's definitely a guy. That's why she doesn't want to have sex or whatever. I don't know.
She has a penis.
Sure. So yeah, she had something. But it was interesting, the whole way that they did it, but it was still very very sexual, and they really didn't talk about it, but you could see that the husband had to be under some type of sexual tension. And remember that one scene where she's talking to him about giving her the wrong numbers 3 times for the schematics of the map they were making, and for I guess for the building they were gonna construct. And you could tell that he is sexually frustrated because he's got a beautiful young bride, but he hasn't been able to do anything with her. He only kissed her one time that we even saw on screen. So
Poor guy had blue balls.
yeah, so I guess that comes through to us watching it, and gives us even we can sense the sensual, the sexual tension going on. But then when the psychiatrist that she's going to see, he's becoming intrigued with her too, and her smell, her scent, and the fact that he doesn't know whether she's full of crap, telling this story about her being a cat person when she was under hypnosis. So he's intrigued by her. So he's now turned on and wants to, maybe get with her, to see whether or not she turned into a cat. So I don't know. I thought it was very good. And then when you don't even have to see her change. So they didn't have to use any makeup or anything. It's all done with shadows and, camera angles and stuff, which I thought was very, very well done, considering, it was a black and white movie.
If you want a gory, very in your face movie, the 1982 version of this will satisfy you. It will completely satisfy you. It'll like all the things that you didn't see in the shadows on this movie here, they put it out there for you to watch. Oh, I wonder what she looks like under those clothes. Oh my God. It's quite revealing.
Yeah, but little lines like when he says your perfume is warm and living, it's like he's aroused. He talks about this. It's like you could sense it when he's talking about it, and the fact that he even brought it up to a total stranger that he just met was a kind of a sexual undertone. You know what I mean? And then when she said. He's like, what was that noise? And she said it was the big cats at the zoo. That's right, not even a block away from her house, her apartment. And she said the roars and the sounds from the cats were natural and soothing to her. See, and then the fact that she said that, oh, I'm sorry, I'll turn on the lamp because I forget because I like it dark. I like the darkness or whatever for her. So
the dark is friendly.
yeah, it's friendly. So it all of it is leaning and pushing, nudging you along, in the movie to believe that she really does turn into a cat, even though a lot of normal people would say, oh yeah, it's just in her head. And that's why he's worried about her and talks to his best friend at work about getting someone that she can go talk to find out if that can help break her out of her psychosis.
And just for you people out there that think it's cool to have like friends of the opposite sex, probably not a great idea to do that because this movie showcases it with its sequel. Alice and him are married in the sequel.
Oh, there is a sequel?
The Curse.
Yeah, Curse of the Cat People. They're married in the sequel, and their daughter befriends the ghost of Irene.
Oh, see.
So, go ahead.
See, Irina is the epitome of the goth cat girl fetish, proto goth cat girl for us Westerners, and she's dangerous, folks. Like,
she's got claws.
Don't get wrapped up in that.
Saw when she scratched the couch.
Yeah.
It left the big rips in it with her regular fingernails. So you can imagine what she could do as a panther or a cougar. That's what I was going to say. She's a cougar.
Eastern European chicks, man.
I just thought it was really good.
Gotta watch out.
This movie, like, is it going to be something I watch every month? No, not in the least bit. If a friend of mine says I need to watch something that my kids can view, that'll at least let them watch something, and it's not gory. It could be violent, can't be really gory. Okay, cat people. Halloween's coming around. Cat people.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about any sex because you don't see no boobs, no butts, no groping, nothing like that. It's a totally clean movie, but you still are afraid. You see what I mean? They did a very good job at that type of psychological fear. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd want, if your child was smart enough to understand the innuendos, you might not want a young child to watch this.
A 10-year-old kid should be smart enough because they're bombarded enough by garbage at school anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, they could talk about this. And when they go to school and talk about it, their teacher might be like, you watch Cat People, 1982 nude film classic? No, I watched the movie from, like, before World War II became a real big thing for the United States. And I watched that because that was what my parents forced me to watch. And that was an hour and 13 minutes. And it was good. You know, I mean, I could see it. I could see a kid talking about this movie and enjoying it because the shit that goes on in your head, thanks to the shadows, thanks to the lack of focus on gore, but yet the suspense, the acting, the script, everything that goes on in your head because of the events of this movie, it is a film to where your imagination's allowed to overact. And I gotta say I'm impressed with it. I really did like that.
If you got theater kids or AV club kids, like, this would be right down their alley.
Yeah,
because this covers all of the tropes, the basics. It's a very well done film, and amazing how it's held up.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that. That was from 1942. It's just hard to believe.
Lambast this movie And then like a week later, because this thing was like in the theaters forever,
Yes.
they went and watched it a second time, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have to
There
redo my
was
review
so
on
many
this. And then
reviews that had to be redone because critics were like, okay, this movie's still in theaters 4 months later. And they're talking about that. They made multiple reviews of this movie. The first one doesn't come out great. Second and subsequent ones, you know what? This is a movie you need to go see. That's so funny.
The thing is that
like in the Criterion collection and other historical film vaults and whatnot, it's crazy. Like this little
I didn't.
hour-long film freaking nailed it.
I didn't feel the same way apparently as you did, Bruce, about having a guy or girlfriend from work. I don't think that was basically it. It was just the fact that they were trying to push the fact that she really was a cat woman and that she was jealous of the attention that he was giving his friend from work. And the thing is the fact that she never once thought, well, if I was tried to sleep with him or satisfy him, he wouldn't be interested in anyone else because he was fawning all over as it was, you know. So little things like that, it made her more and more selfish. So the longer the movie went on, the less I liked her. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's normal as somebody that
I can see a woman's perspective being like that.
If you
I didn't like her because she was mean to her husband that adored her. You know, he treated her like gold, and she pushed him away because she wouldn't even take care of his easiest needs. I mean, she was always in the other room by herself, you know, pouting or whatever. You know, she didn't even hug him or, you know, there was very little affection at all between, I mean, the conversations that he had with his friend from work that he was having before he met Elena were more close. You know, it had more life in it, you know, than what he had with her. Their relationship was very sterile. So basically, it was like he was enamored with her because she was so pretty, and her scent was very intriguing. But over time, he's realizing, wow, I got myself a limp noodle. She's boring as hell, and I can't even get laid, you know. So, you know, over time, you can understand why he just wants out of the relationship. And the psychiatrist was very smart when he explained that if I commit her and she's your wife, you know, on paper, then it's gonna be very hard for you to be able to get a divorce and blah blah blah, and move on with your life. So if I were you, I would just get a divorce and let her, you know, limp along as a nut job, basically, which is what he should have done, because he could have just got it annulled because they never had sex, they never connected as husband and wife, so they really weren't married.
In the beginning of the film, when she first goes to the psychiatrist, and they do that really cool hypnosis scene where the room's completely pitch black, but he's got that little light flashed on her face, and it highlights her face. He kind of summarizes the plot of the movie and her fears of her being an evil cat person, that because of the folklore, because she spoke about her life as a kid in her little village, and then the folklore of the cat people and how they're witches and shunned by society.
Yeah.
The cat people were prone to jealousy, anger, and hatred, and then they had their degenerate passions that changed them into cat people. So like her fear was that if she goes to get some nookie, she's going to end up eating her husband and going on a rampage, which, you know, ultimately happens.
Well, the thing is that
after her husband, it was the doctor that initiated it.
After she followed, what was her name again? Terrible. Alice. After she followed Alice home and supposedly transformed, because you see the footprints, you know, that they're round, and all of a sudden they turn into heels, you know, as it's going along, as you see her the camera's following right behind her, and you see her footprints on the concrete. So she transformed. At least that's what it looks like. And you would think, since she knows she's a cat person, well, at least she could do is indulge herself now. If she knows she's a cat person now, why not just indulge in her, in her sexual appetite and let everything fall where it may, especially once she finds out that he doesn't want a relationship anymore. Basically, he's tired of putting up with her.
That's the heartbreaker right there.
That might be the nature of the curse.
Maybe, I don't know.
Like you know that you're going to change into something, but you're unaware of when and where, and it just happens, and then you're like, what's his face from American Werewolf in London, all butt naked in the freaking zoo.
Yeah. But she didn't wake up in the zoo. And the fact that I was a little disappointed when she left the office after supposedly killing the psychiatrist, and she has a sword sticking out of her, a broken cane sword out of her shoulder, right? Mm-hmm. But she's wiping off her mouth, and she doesn't have lipstick on it or blood or anything, no marks or anything on the white handkerchiefs that she had. So, I mean, even if they just put lipstick on there to make you think that she maybe was wiping blood off, would have been a little bit more realistic, especially since we know that she had something sticking out of her shoulder when she fell to the ground. But whether or not she turned into a cat, we still don't know. It's in our imagination that she did, that she transformed. But because all we saw was shadows. But that right there would have added a little more solid evidence that she did kill. She tried to kill him, whether she was a cat or it was in her imagination. It didn't matter. He was afraid of her, and he tried to fight her off. And she was smaller than him, too. So her being a cat was more realistic. But I just thought that would have added just a little hint more intrigue, to it.
The censorship at that time, I don't know how hardcore it was, so maybe that had a thing to do with it, because I remember westerns from the 40s and 50s, like the bad guys and the good guys were duking it out, and then like somebody would get shot and he'd grab his belly, but there wouldn't be like a bullet hole or any blood.
Yeah, because it was all done cheap.
Old-timey censorship thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I thought it was great. For everything this movie is, like, it works so fucking well. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the fact that she decided and chose on her own to get a bird. And the bird wasn't afraid of her, but the cat was. That was a little hard for me to understand. I was trying, I sit there for a little bit trying to figure that out. And then it died of a heart attack because she put her hand in there, but she's in the room with it every day. I don't know. I just thought that was bizarre. So there were little things like that.
That whole scene of her grabbing the bird, that was supposed to be like her cat-like nature playing with her prey. And then the poor thing has a heart attack. Instead of like flushing it down the toilet or throwing it in the trash or whatever, she goes over to the zoo and then feeds it to the Black Panther, which happens to be named Dynamite.
Oh, really? It was beautiful.
Dynamite was the name of the panther.
Beautiful. But the part where she's like, you're thinking about the canary, and all that, and she's talking about, her beliefs and stuff, about the whole thing about her being a cat person. But she constantly says that she loves him. She loves him, but and she needs him, and that he's the only friend that she ever had, basically. But to me, there was so much loneliness for her and him, even though they lived in the same house together, simply for the fact they weren't affectionate at all. They were just like roommates.
I mean,
and, I connected.
She's not from this culture. She's from another culture.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a different set of values. She's got a different set of superstitions and wars that she has. So I mean, it's really like, and this movie doesn't give you like a 2 weeks later or like months later. It makes it seem like it's only like a span of 3 weeks that the movie takes place over.
Okay, but what I know, but what I mean is I'm just saying that to me, in my life, I understand the sense of that sense of loneliness that she seemed to have, even though she was married to a handsome man that adored her. That she felt like she had to be separated from everyone because for their safety, because she felt that, even though she didn't know whether for sure, because she'd never killed anyone yet. She didn't even really know if it was real, but she believed it was real, just like what the psychiatrist said to her. But the fact that the film invokes the loneliness of a person set aside from humanity, given that that she has the powers of some curse of some type, like I felt sympathy for her at the beginning, but over the course of the movie, I didn't have sympathy for Irina. Is that how you said her name?
Irina.
I had more sympathy for him, more and more as it went by, because he was overly caring for her, yet she showed no emotion. She didn't, when he come home from work, she didn't run over and hug him and say, I miss you today. I'm so glad to see you, that kind of thing. Even though she didn't want to have sex with him, she could still be passionate with him. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to show that she cared about him, that she exuded feelings for him. So I could understand why they end up killing people, because they drive everyone away from them, and that's what causes them to turn into cats. It's their own fear of becoming close to anyone. So to me, I had a hard time with it.
Any kind of passion could.
Well, I had a hard time with that, because here you got a young girl that was from Serbia, supposedly, okay, and she travels to America to start her new life as an artist and she's got a job, apparently. That's what she was doing all the drawings and stuff for. But how was she raised? How did her mother love her and give her attention or feed her and take care of her if she was afraid of being the cat woman? I don't know. I just had a hard time filling in the gaps, and maybe because the movie was so short, they didn't have the time to fill in little things like that, or they just didn't have the budget. But that left a big gap for me when it came to her emotional connection of how she even survived as a child if her mother was as empty as she was to her husband. As she said, she's constantly said, I love you, you're the best friend I ever had. And she would sit with him for hours, but apparently she was so boring because he'd fall asleep, in her presence, but yet she was pretty to look at and she smelled good. So that only goes so far. And I tell guys that all the time, that you can't, honestly think you're going to be serious about wanting to be with someone simply because she has a nice ass or she has a nice set of tits. If she can't cook or have a conversation with you, what are you going to do? The rest of you have 15 minutes of fun. What are you going to do the rest of the time? That's going to get boring after a while. So to me, I really was sad throughout the movie for him as time went on, because of the loneliness
of the tragedy with Oliver Reed.
That was it.
That poor guy, he's like, I can fix her. And he tries, and it doesn't work out. And then she just ends up screwing up everything in his life because, like, his friend and psychiatrist buddy is freaking eaten. Like, she goes after his coworker. Like, he hasn't gotten laid, no hand job, no nothing,
no hugs, no kisses,
and the poor guy doesn't even get a hug or a kiss, and like, yeah, the guy's probably going stir crazy, like in reality, but you can't really show that in a 1942 movie.
And plus the fact that it wasn't him that exploded.
Social standards,
he never yelled.
So like it's all implied psychologically.
Yeah, but he never lost his temper with her. See, I was impressed with that. I mean, if any woman out there watches this movie and can find a man that's got that temperament and he's that affectionate, damn girl, you better put a ring on it. That's all I can. That's all I can say.
He made a promise that he would not fight with her. He would not raise his voice in anger. He even caught himself, and he's like, "Let's chill out, chillax, sit on the couch. We'll talk this out later." Like, the dude was solid.
Yeah.
Because, like, this lady with a curse, she's trying to live her best life. She's probably been all over the world trying to figure out where she can live, where she's not going to be eating people or whatever it is that cat people do. And so it was just like two star-crossed lovers meet each other at a zoo. You think things are going to go well. It's getting help for her. It's not working out. Then shit goes south.
Mm-hmm. And this
Tragic
one, was
movie.
this one like in New York City? I forgot
believe it
to.
is.
Okay,
New York
that's what
City, yeah.
that's what I assumed, the way that they acted and the way people were talking about the city and stuff like that. I assumed it was in New York, but wasn't the cat people the other one that that's why I had to ask Bruce. I said, is it a black and white movie, or which one is it that we're supposed to be ready for? And he said it was the older one. So that's when I said, okay. But the other one from 1980s, wasn't it set in like New Orleans, which is lots of suspense and
I think
scary
so.
stuff in the background, or not?
I think it's set in New Orleans. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. Let me see what I can find out. But that is a. I don't think it's set in New York. I'll say that. I'll say
No,
that.
because I didn't see it, but I did see the trailer a few times. And it looked like some of the scenery just resembled Louisiana, or the city of New Orleans, little things. But there's lots of French cities, in France and stuff too, that look a lot like, to me. When I first moved to New Orleans, I was surprised because I told people, I said, listening to you guys talk, you sound like my relatives from New England, New York and Massachusetts, all in there. A lot of their dialogue, the dialect that they use, especially a lot of the Cajun families, they sound like they're from New England to me, which was really funny.
The 82 version was
set in New Orleans.
Compared to
it was
New York. Okay. Yeah, I think originally they were going to go with a story. It was an Algernon Blackwood story.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of it, but it was supposed to be set in the 19th century in some old-timey medieval
Europe
French
or somewhere.
And they're like, nah, we don't want to do the period drama because
budget
costs more. let's
but
make it all modern.
Made like $4 million. That's a huge profit.
It made between $1 and $4 million. They don't really know, because one guy will say it made $4 million, another guy's like, no, that's kind of BS. It only made $1 million. But you can say that it made between 10 and 40 times its budget. You can reliably.
Because I was reading from Roger Ebert, and what's the other guy that used to do reviews together?
Siskel.
Yeah, Siskel. I was reading some of their stuff because they did different ones on this movie, apparently at different times. And Roger gave it a 4 stars, which isn't that pretty rare for them to give that
for him,
rating? Yeah. So, but the thing is, he mentions in one of the things that he was shocked because it was a B-rate movie that only cost $135,000 to make, but it made over $4 million. And he said it was the top grossing movie for RKO in 1942.
Yeah.
So it bring in $4 million. That is a shit ton of money back in 1942. And he compare it to the studio, he said, for Citizen Kane at $500,000 in 1941, and that's how much it made. So that is a huge amount of money. $4 million is a lot of money. So apparently people were like you and I, we'd never seen this before, but because we watched it and we were really intrigued and drawn in because of the acting, the sets, and the different things that came out, the intrigue of the movie, other people went to see it. And you got to remember, they didn't have the internet or anything like that. So they basically had billboards and newspapers, but word of mouth was like basically the number one way that people found out about things until the internet. You know what I mean? So they had a lot of word of mouth. Apparently.
And when you're saying that, like, it's not just word of mouth. Like, we're talking about, there's radio shows, radio programs.
Oh, yeah, radio.
And you have guys that, like, the theater's just not pulling cat people yet. So I took my cousin who hadn't seen it yet, and I took him to go see it. and I really like the film. It's my fourth time seeing it,
Hmm.
and I want to say that situations like that are what contributed to people like Roger Ebert giving the movie 4 stars over the course of time, where you
Hmm.
watch it, and the more you watch this movie, the more you're gonna like it. I just feel this is one of those films that it actually does that. There's some movies that the more you watch it, the less they pay attention to the TV. You know what's going on. You've seen it before. Yep, yeah, yippee ki Oh, look, Charles Bronson shot another thug. Who
Yeah.
gives a shit? And that's going to be the majority of films that are out there. You're not going to watch. Uh, give me a shitty 1988 movie or Once Bitten. You're not
Hmm.
going to watch that movie numerous times. It's got
No.
Jim Carrey in one of his first performances.
Hmm.
That's about the most notable thing in it. The special effects are kind of shit, but you've got you've got other films that are out there that you watch multiple times, and you just find new stuff in each and every one of them that you didn't see that the director of photography got in the shot last time. But now
Yeah.
you're watching it, and you're starting to analyze it because for some odd reason, the vagueness of it, the fact that it played your emotion so hard the first time you saw it, you're paying more ardent attention to it. You're examining it like a doctor going over a corpse. Like, I know I missed something. What happened? And you start really to delve into it. And I bet that's what happened with Roger Ebert. And that's what happened with the critics back in the 40s when they first saw it over and over and over again. Makes me happy.
Yeah, it's what I feel. I honestly feel it. It's like the a person would go see it, especially someone whose job is to write a newspaper article about it or do it on the radio show, talk about the movies that they just watched. They would go watch this movie and they'd watch it and they'd leave with like questions like you and I had when we sit around talking about it afterward. We have our own questions depending on different things that we took away from the movie, right? All three of
Mhm.
us talking about it.
Yeah.
So then we'd say, hey, I need to watch that again because I didn't remember that part or something like that. And I think that is the reason why a few of the people that did do reviews went back for the second time. And then they started saying, damn, this was a lot better than I expected. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think that just like I said, I was watching it and she was just so tiny and frail and pretty. I mean, she was just very mesmerizing just to look at, and she was just beautiful. And the fact that that alone made me want to feel for her, through the movie. But as time went on, even that wasn't enough for me to overpower me to not feel sad for her husband. You know what I mean? And
Well,
the director,
I
everyone around her was taken in by her, by being duped by her.
I
You know?
honestly think that the guys that watch this film are gonna feel a little upset, like, wait, she offered him no nookie, but I can fix her. Like that thought pops up in your head, like
Mhm.
I think it's impossible if you have a penis and you see Simone Simon and you're like, wait, she never married? Oh man, she was a babe. What
Mhm.
happened to her? And in your head, you have this stupid little like montage of images of you and her together pushing around to get man. If I would have just been with her back in those days, she would have
Mhm.
she would have had a blown out vagina and uterus was like dragging on the floor behind her. She would have 5 kids. They have minivans back in the 40s. Man, I'd love to. You
They
know, I
did? I didn't know. I don't
you know
know.
I
I don't
you,
even think
I
they know
can
they didn't have
see
seatbelts, I don't
I
think.
can see where people have that fucking problem and they
Mhm.
just think about that for 30 seconds and then they go about their day. Oh, whatever. Irina was a babe, but she killed her husband, whatever.
Mhm.
Or she died at the end of the film. And like if they don't hear the fact that Irina's ghost comes back for the sequel, Curse of the Cat People, they never know. But this is for me, this is a great movie. If you guys have seen the 1942 Cat People movie, check it out. And if you've not seen it, check it out. And if you want to know about it, I'll get you the link here for this because it's on archive.org
Mhm.
because they're scared that movies like this will never be shown on TV again. Turner Network will fuck up and they won't show you a movie that you probably would be best to at least view once at least because it's
This is one of those
yeah.
movies that was shown multiple times on Turner Classic Movies. I'm sure of it. during their 1990
Oh yeah,
span.
but in 2020, do you think this movie would be shown?
But 2020, yeah, you ain't
No.
gonna see it.
Here,
I will say one other thing. This movie had a more tragic ending than the 1982 one.
yes,
If you haven't seen either one, I'm not going to
both
spoil the
movies are
endings.
worth your time.
But they're both worth watching, and then pay attention to the endings and how they differ, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I agree. The 82 movie, it's not a superior film for me at all, but it's still a worthwhile movie. Now that I've seen this, I'm like, okay, I actually like this one better. But the 82 film is still very much worth your time, very much a very fun movie. And if you're 13 years old, it's perfect.
I compare it to Night of the Living Dead. Like, if you've seen the 68 version, which I'm sure everybody has, like, it's awesome. There's not much more you could do with that film other than the two sequels. But then, Tom Savini, he goes and makes the 1990 version, and then you go and look at it, and you're like, damn, that's really good. It was a hell for him to make. But when you compare the two and appreciate the changes, and both are good, like, it's hard not to like both of them, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
The same director didn't direct both of them, did he?
I think the producer was the same. I want to say the producer was the same for Curse the.
So basically, he enjoyed the movie enough and had faith enough in it to the newer version of it would do well at the movie theater. Did it?
The direction for the second one is Gunther V. Fritsch,
Mm-hmm.
and that's for Curse of the Cat People, 1944. Oliver Reed is still played by Kent Smith. Jane Randolph still plays Alice. So you're seeing a pretty impressive movie. I want to say Val Luton is a producer for the first movie, the Cat People, and I want to say he's involved somehow in Curse of the Cat People. But I don't think he's a producer. I think he's just kind of like a consultant or something. He did a whole bunch of stuff for RKO towards the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and he was very instrumental in getting them on the map. They owe him a debt of thanks that they couldn't repay. He helped steer that company into some real profits, and they didn't really spend much money to get there. He was just good. He could help put people in positions and make a good product.
Yeah, I definitely, the person who selected the actors to portray these characters did a phenomenal job at choosing these people because they worked so well together. And what was adorable to me was the attraction it seemed like the young man had when he was with her and having his conversations with her in the apartment. Even though she seemed distant, he seemed enamored with her. He was very good at, for me, watching him, to feel like he really did adore her, that he couldn't stop thinking about her, that every minute of the day he was probably thinking about her while he was at work, even though she's not giving him any affection of any type at all. At least it seemed she was very emotionless. And to me, I guess the person who wrote the script feels that way about cats, that cats are just like, they don't need anyone. They're fine alone, but a lot of the cats that I've seen, they're very affectionate, but only to certain people. If you're a stranger, they would run from you or meow and hiss and run, but to me, I had a hard time trying to understand why she was so even though she said she wouldn't sleep with him, okay, because she said she need give me some time, I need to get more comfortable or something like that, and he believed her because he's in love with her. But the fact that he kissed her and she didn't kill him. So, just little things like that. I couldn't understand why she at least didn't try to hold his hand and show more gratitude toward him, since he was providing her a beautiful place to live and lots of, telling her how beautiful she was and how much he loved her and he adored her, things like that. He's very attentive to her, but she was not attentive to him at all. So it didn't take very long once they were married for me to feel like, she's a total loser. Whatever, I don't know. I just had a hard time connecting with her after that. I didn't have any sad feelings for her when she died or anything, which was sad. Maybe I was supposed to feel that way, but I did feel I felt sorry for the psychiatrist, because he was not a very good psychiatrist if he was able to fall in love with his patient, basically.
He went to the Bill Huxtable School of Medicine.
I don't know. I just, did you guys feel that way? Did you guys feel like you lost your feeling for her and felt sorry for the guy?
I would have felt more if she had taken the dead bird and like laid it at the foot of the bed or something like that.
When she put it in the box, I really felt she felt sorry for it, and she was going to bury it or tell her husband it died today, and I feel really bad. But you didn't get to see that, so I don't know if they cut those scenes out and then edited it without it.
I think they even wrote those scenes. I think that's something that's supposed to play in your head, because of the fact that she is so not attached to her husband. She's aloof and capricious. She's unable to be portrayed as somebody who does care about her husband. She's not
because
that.
She is a cat. That's why, and that's what I was saying. She was distant and a loner, like you would see a cat would be.
I mean, she's not even quote unquote a real cat, because she's like not even like tying herself to one person. Most cats tie themselves to one or two people, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said I had a hard time, because she had someone who adored her, someone that would sit and pet her, like the person that feeds you and pets you, right? That person, you'd think that she would be very protective of and not want anyone else around him, but she would be affectionate in return, which she was not. I had a hard time with that part of it.
It's not that I dislike Alice for picking up the pieces as she's watching Irina just throw them away, but I mean, Alice is kind of doing things already, and it looks like she's kind of grooming her future husband into position to be that guy that she wants. And
I thought she was married.
She's not married. She's not married in this film. She gets married to him in the second movie, and they have a daughter together.
In the beginning of the movie, when they went to dinner and stuff, and she was sitting next to that other guy, I just assumed it was her husband. No. That's why she wasn't chasing after him or anything while at work. But she assumed, that when she realized they weren't sleeping together and was having a hard time, she's like, "There's my opening. I have a chance to dive in and snag this guy."
I don't think she like dived on it, but I think that the friendship they had before he got married, I think she was already in process of just like turning him into husband.
Well, I didn't see it like that, because when he was telling her that, hey, something's bad, I need someone after, she got upset and was mad at him when she came home and found out he had told her, Alice, that what had happened, and basically she's not sleeping with me. She thinks she's a cat and blah blah blah. So because he was unloading to his friend, and I have guy friends that I talk to about personal things, and but that's because they're my friend, and I'm like that with my girlfriends and my guy friends and my sisters. Basically, we share stuff, but we try to help each other because we care, because I want my friends to be happy. And I feel like that's what from the beginning of the movie, I felt that was what they had in the relationship. I could see it because I have that myself. Mm-hmm. But then when she started crying, remember, she got the little Kleenex and was wiping her eyes, because she realized at that moment that she has an opening to him now, that it's not working. even though she didn't interfere. She did not push herself on him or say, oh, she's not good enough for you or anything. She stayed completely out of it and let him make that decision. Like your guys are always saying, let people make their own decisions and dive in their own, feces if they have to or whatever. But the fact that she realized at that moment that she had an opening, and she told him, I'm in love with you, herself. I never knew that she wasn't married. I thought she was married from the diner scene when she's sitting next to that man and they're talking about how beautiful she is and how happy he's going to be. And then she even says she's going to make him happy. She was trying to make everybody realize her friend is going to be happy now that he has a young woman in his life, that type of thing. So that's how I took it. And I guess I was wrong, because later on, I guess she wasn't married.
No,
I never saw him again. So I don't know. But that's what it came off as to me, that she was married. That's why she never dove in, because she worked with him every day. She could have. People do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And in New York. So.
I mean, the fact that she waited makes me kind of happy, but this is also a movie set in the 40s, so morality is a lot different. I liked it.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys have feelings about this movie, go ahead, put them in the chat. Next week, interesting week next week that it is. The movie that we are watching on the 26th of January is the 1990s classic Raul Julia, Jessica Houston, Addams Family.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So, got to ask you, Six Nations. You're kind of familiar with this movie, and you're familiar with the people like you. You've obviously had a more media rich life that I would have had as a child. I would have preferred to have that, but I got to ask you, what's your rating on this movie?
Okay, well, given that my ratings are a little biased and wonky, like a lot of movies are in the 70s for me. There's very few that are in the 80s or higher. The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China being like the top 90s. I would say that the 1942 version of this, I would give it a solid 78 to 80. It's more than what most folks, I guess, would consider it. But this movie has had high marks since, probably 10 years after it came out, and it became the usual serial schlock that you would see on TV or in cheap theaters. Yeah, so this is well above 75, going into 80. Like I said, 78 to 80. It's got its moments where you see some inconsistencies. It's probably budget related or product of the times. But when you look at the film and you start analyzing the way it's shot, the way it's lit, the way people are dressed, the scenery, like everything just clicks. It's a solid movie. And for being such a shoestring budget, like this is like one of those what's his name?
Almost like
the guy that did
like a Roger Corman film?
Desperado. Robert Rodriguez films. He took what was it, El Mariachi, with like a couple of grand and turned it into an awesome cult film. Like, yeah, it's hokey as fuck in some scenes, but like the way that he did it and the passion and dedication that he took to get that thing completed and the way it turned out was awesome. And then it led him to his media empire now. This is one of those gems from RKO that Val Lewton had helped create. And the guy, I guess, kind of sidetracking here, the guy only lived to be about 46 years old. So from the 30s on into the early 50s, I think he died in 51 or something
What
like
he
that.
die from?
This guy, heart attacks. He had multiple heart attacks and croaked. But this guy had a background as a novelist, film producer, screenwriter. He was known for low budget horror films. And then I guess his son was into painting or something like that. I'm not too certain. But this dude, he had the chops to be making films
Mhm.
in some capacity. So you tie him with a great director, set designer. You know, you get all the pieces of the puzzle to fit, and they jive correctly. You can take a low budget movie and turn it into a gem. This thing here is one of those diamonds in the rough. Like, if you're used to the Marvel MCU, you're probably going to be disappointed. But if you like cinema and you're willing to step out of your wheelhouse for a second and admire it as a cinema piece, this movie's going to kick ass, and you're going to want to watch more. And then you're going to go through the whole, okay, RKO, monster movie schlock, and then you're going to look at older film noir, and then you're going to have this appreciation for cinema of that decade or several decades, and you're going to appreciate films more and realize that, like, the majority of the stuff nowadays can't even pale compared to the rest of this stuff's in a higher league, even though it's lower budget, less flashy, less boobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has no gore, no sex, and it's still a great movie. Like, it's not a documentary, it's a horror movie. It's a psychological thriller.
That's what I would.
Got film noir, and then it's also the first movie to have a jump scare, which is even more awesome, because, like, how many movies have we seen throughout the 70s that overuse that damn cat being tossed at the actors? And you're like, shit, got me again. And I knew it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what started it. It's cool. It's got history. It's got class. It's got style.
Mm-hmm.
Janet,
Mm-hmm.
your rating.
Well, I agree with almost every single thing you said about this movie. The emotional roller coaster, basically, to go through if you're a person that has been through a bad relationship, which most people have. I really do feel that. Either you were the one that left the relationship, or they left you because you weren't in the relationship, and that's basically what I felt in this movie. It brought it out big time for me. It was like, you got a person that supposedly says they love you, but they're doing nothing that a lover would do. You know, they're not there for you. They're not emotionally there for you at all. You're just standing outside of the relationship, looking in, wanting something, but you don't know how to get it, because, you know, how do you get something from someone that just looks right past you or looks right through you, like you're just a piece of glass, basically. And it made my heart ache for him. You know, I really felt bad for him as time went by. At first, I felt bad for her because this was a young woman. She looked maybe 19 or 20. I know she was around in there to me, but that she had talent, and she was able to get a nice apartment because it looked nice and the ceilings were huge. Just like I said, every time I see a set that has no ceilings, I know it's on a set in a studio, a stage studio or whatever. But I liked it. I thought that there was a lot of sexual tension between the two characters, which was really good. It was like an emotional roller coaster for me watching, because I'd never seen it, and I wanted to feel for her. I really did. I tried really hard to have sympathy for her, but as time went by, and that was because she was such a good actress, she made me believe that she was distant and cold. She just wasn't there for him, even though he bent over backward for her. And it just really hurt, especially since, when you go through a, traumatic part in your own relationship, you can almost connect with this gentleman, and you connect with the woman that falls in love with him, Alice, too. And also, I felt sympathy for the psychiatrist, and they were all believable. The scenes were phenomenal. I mean, just like I said, the part where they go into the pet shop and it was pouring down rain outside, and when he goes back out the door to leave, you could see that his coat is soaking wet. So you don't know if it was really raining and they just used that in the scene. Different things like that I just thought was very good, very well done. And the camera angles were just phenomenal. That to me added to the drama of the different scenes, like the swimming pool scene where she's swimming and you see her treading water because she doesn't want to get near to where she thinks something's going to jump in and try to kill her, because she really feared for her life. And the way they did the shadows and the sound effects, the echoing throughout the whole pool room, she's looking around from one wall to the other and she can't figure out where the sound's coming from, but she's petrified, and she looked petrified. That's when I think her part in the movie, to where Alice believed that she really could turn into a cat. And then it was solidified at the end when she got out, solidified, because the friend of hers that was at the hotel found her robe ripped to shreds. So I just thought it was very well done. It was very, sitting on the edge of your seat, gnawing on your fingernails type of movie. And I think anyone that would want to sit and watch a movie that's a real thriller would enjoy this movie. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And I'm only taking it down that far simply because of the few technical things that I thought were bad, and gaps in the story, like when she was throwing the papers and then she tears the last paper up after he'd made a big deal out about her throwing stuff and missing the trash can, and pointing to the sign to say, yeah, people like you ruin other people's time at the zoo or whatever. And then they just walk off and leave it, when they could have fixed it where you could still see her picture in the garbage as it's blowing, in the edge of the garbage because it's full or whatever, to be able to see what she was drawing, that type of thing, because they were trying to draw attention to that. But I thought there was a better, more believable way to fix that. And then a few other little details that I had a hard time with, like when he was, they were in the room, in the drawing room where they worked, and the cat was in there getting ready to try to kill them, and you see him grab that tool off the wall, and goes to defend himself, and when he held it up, it looked like a cross. So he said, for God's sakes, leave us alone, whatever. And then you saw the cat leave, and the door opened, and then you saw the bottom door spinning, the roundabout door. So that was good, except, there was no tools on the wall, the second scene. So the editing there was problems with the editing. The sound effects were great. I mean, I didn't have any music at all that pulled me out of any scene, which is what you want. You want to be, my heart was pounding, my palms were sweating when I was supposed to feel that way. So I definitely would recommend anyone that likes psychological thrillers that you'd probably enjoy this movie. Even though it came out in 1942, I still think it would, the same movie, I think, would be a well done movie for TV today. I think they could remake this and it would be just as exciting and thrilling if they could get good, phenomenal actors and things like that, without having to have any nudity or that groping or anything like that in this movie. And you still felt for all the characters, like I think the script was meant to make you feel, because that is a sign of a good director, that gets his actors to portray the characters that he wanted to portray. And I think he was an excellent director. That's all I want to say. But thanks. That's my thoughts.
I'm not going to disagree with what you two said. I have a lower rating for it. It's 7 out of 10. I think that's pretty great for me. That I thrive on car chases, gunplay, amazing pyrotechnics. Can you make a a corpse looked like a 12 gauge slug was shoved through the skull and splattered into a ceiling pizza. That's what I want. This movie has none of that, and I fucking rated a 7 out of 10. It's got good characterization, good script, makes you feel for the guy. The girl Janet's kind of right on it, but like I can see where the dude is like still struggling and trying and putting forth his best effort, and like eventually, like he doesn't mean to be going for Alice, but he's going for Alice. Alice is there. Alice isn't waiting with him for like arms open, but she's there to catch him and cradle his head against her shoulder when everything's falling apart, and it works. And then knowing that there's a sequel to this movie where things continue and you get to see like the further adventures and endeavors of Sir Cat people, that makes me happy. Like, okay, well, I'll have to fucking unbuckle this shit and watch it again next year, and we'll see what happens with Curse of the Cat People. We'll see what happens with the seventh victim, which is a spin-off from Cat People. And RKO, you got my attention. You have some really good people in your stable. I can't wait to delve through and see more of this. 70%, guys. Janet, what are you doing?
Good.
What are you doing later this week, Janet?
Well, Wednesday, I'll be playing my second day with a bear on his channel for our game. For that, it's starting at I think it's 8. It's my time at 8 o'clock, my time, or 7. Like I'm gonna have to let me look at my calendar. Hold on. It's at it just says Bears game. It doesn't say. I think it's 7 o'clock my time, Central Time, and that's going to be fun because now that we've established where we're going and what our characters are, and we gave our backstories and things like that for our characters for the game. It's a 2 hours. What he said. Usually the games will be every week for 2 hours, and then I'll have team shit show on Thursday night, and I'm not 100% sure about who my guest was be. I always have like 3 or 4 people lined up because it seems like every time I have someone lined up that something happens and they can't make it. But I don't know for sure exactly what it'd be, but I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about, being our new president being sworn in, things like that, since I like to talk about politics. And then the Friday night shit show is just going to be all the same shit that our government does. And remember, I think it's Tuesday, Kash Patel is going to be interviewed for his confirmation hearing. I cannot wait. I'm not going to miss that. And I will probably be live on X during the whole thing. So be ready. If you're on X and Rumble, I will definitely be live for the Kash Patel.
Okay.
And then Saturday is us.
Saturday, we've got the low-level campaign, the alpha test campaign that I'm looking forward to. Continuing to delve under the city of Dunamon. 6 nations, 31 kings. We've got Janet, Nerdy Ogre, Crafting Gamer, and I'm adding a 5th person to the game. I don't know when Dan's going to be able to join us, but one of my co-workers from my old job is kind of interested in what we do. I don't know if he'll be over here, if he's going to be broadcasting from home, or if he's going to swing over here. If he swings over here, he's probably going to have to Uber, so I'll have to help him with that. But looks like it'll be a fun fucking day. And that's Saturday. Then we got Chimerian's Musings. We'll talk a little bit about things there. And it's always nice having Chimerian on because usually he just starts talking. I just shut the fuck up and paint, or I sit back like, damn, listen to this guy. And then Sunday...
His stream of consciousness rants and thoughts are freaking awesome. And I could just listen to it for hours.
Yeah.
Literally, I have listened to it for hours.
Yeah. And then Sunday, we're watching a movie. We're watching Addams Family.
Yeah,
from
that's going to be fun.
1991.
And anyone wants to watch the movie with us, send either me or Bruce at DM on X or whatever, or Discord, and we'll send you an invite so you can watch the movie with us, because it's a lot of fun to watch an actual movie with other people instead of having to do it by yourself. So,
I do have one question pertaining to this film.
Mm-hmm.
The little old lady that owned the pet shop, there was monkeys in there, little tiny.
Yeah,
monkeys.
look like little squirrel
because like they range anywhere from $1,000 to like $8,000, and it's $1,000 to $5,000 for a cage nowadays. Like that little old lady was rolling. It wasn't just parakeets she was selling.
Nope.
She had monkey money.
She had monkey money.
I want to know how much a 1942 monkey cost. So if anybody has any information, hit me up in Discord.
Why do you want a monkey?
No.
No, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
Shakma is a prime example. Granted, it's a baboon. Don't fuck with baboons. But like monkey shines and
I haven't seen monkey
like
shines.
any other little helper monkey. If you're a paraplegic or a quadriplegic and you get a helper monkey, tell them no. Go get yourself a Filipino live-in nurse. They will do better. They will cook
Just get
better.
a mail-in
They won't try to kill
bride.
you.
Mail order bride. A lot of people are doing that now.
Well, I mean, if American women were
But
fucking
I'm
blue hair and
curious
fat,
about-
it'd be different. But you know,
Well, most of them, I think, come from, they're Asian or they're like Russian or Serbian or something, right?
mm-hmm.
They're more Serbian, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Supposedly, unless you get this woman that we had in this movie, she was from Serbia, and she wasn't very, thankful.
Latvia, you have a better chance of getting married short term. Like the ratio of women to men there is like 4 to 1.
Yeah.
Got a friend that hooked up with one. Got another friend that married a Russian. Like, as long as you don't show weakness, you're
You ever
good.
cry on her shoulder, you're done. She'll kill you in your sleep. She'll kill you with mud.
She'll beat you with a frying pan.
She'll hit you with a rifle butt.
She'll kick you while you're down, too.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now, romance goes a long ways, guys. Pick some dandelions or whatever on the side of the road on your way home from work and then give them to her and say, these flowers are for you. I picked them for you. And they're not near as beautiful as you are. Something like that. Some corny, stupid shit is what us women like. So, I mean, you don't have to tell anyone else because believe me, you're going to get laid. Or she's going to make your favorite meal or something for you. But I wish more men would just be corny and romantic, and their relationships would go a lot farther. Wow, it's really scary looking, Bruce. I don't want to ever see that in the game. I hate to say that, but it's nice.
Janet, I love you, but you're going to see it in the game.
I know I am. I hate it, but I'm just saying I'm not looking forward to seeing it in person during a game.
You guys are fighting more dragons in the hike.
Yeah,
hike
we've been
campaign,
fighting
aren't you?
a few dragons.
They let the one get away.
Ouch.
Yeah, we didn't. I didn't want it to get away, but
He
I was
grabbed
in a bag.
the priestess of Pinhead, and he fucking flew out the fucking castle before it went into the ground. So he's still out there. And fucking, I can't believe you guys are like, oh, I want to search for the fucking the orb of dragonkind. Fuckers, you mortals are not supposed to touch that shit. That's artifact level. That's let something else fuck with it, like a god or a deity or like some supreme being. You having an orb? No. And
Well,
shiny.
all I know is I got eaten by a giant ice worm, and now I'm paranoid.
oh, I love the fact I made you scared shitless about that too.
Yeah, I fear death, like a real person would. I don't want to die. It sucks.
That's how role playing should be. You should be able to die and roll up another character. This never dying safety net shit that's permeating role playing games. It's like,
See, that's what I
takes
thought.
away all the
I thought they
the
were
fun, the
supposed to be
suspense.
that way. See, that's the thing. I thought you're supposed to play it like it was you. It's who you are,
That's how it used
and
to
you don't
be,
want to
but ever
die.
since
So,
2014, things have progressively gotten weird within the gaming industry. So basically, if you're running your own table, do your own thing, and it's better if you add a little bit of death to spice it up.
I hate to say that.
death and torture, basically acid,
You
flames.
guys are gonna encounter death in that little campaign we're doing, the alpha test.
Sex cult.
That's gonna yeah.
I like the way that Bruce does it too. It's not like he pulls out the Grimtooth's guide and like, ah, shit, here's another trap. No, this is like off the cuff, some weird ass shit.
It's a lot of weird stuff.
That's great.
And the conversations that we have too. That's what a couple of my friends have said. They come in and they're like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?"
Last game
Just
when you guys were fucking with the Otyug and you were all talking and fucking, you made me laugh my ass off, Josh. He said, "I'm so happy I'm not streaming this to the TV. I'm so happy."
Oh yeah, like my mom gets it. I joke around that my mom wouldn't understand, and like my mom's pretty tight. But the rest of my family, they don't have the capacity to understand how role-playing games are or how Gen X humor is. Like, if it's Hallmark movies, yeah, we can have a conversation. If it's like football or other sports ball, yeah, we can have a conversation. But I start talking about, the ecology of monsters in Dungeons and Dragons or other derivatives, it gets bizarre.
Yeah, my sisters don't ask any questions.
You get that uncomfortable feeling, and then you're like, I'm just going to go play Nintendo now.
So, come by later this week. Janet's got stuff going on Thursday. She'll be on Spaces on Twitter between now and then. We're going to be suffering a winter weather for once in San Antonio.
Starting tonight.
So I might be home instead of out doing what I'd like to be doing, but I'd rather not have to freeze to do what I do. And so might take a couple days off. Don't know yet. I'm going to talk to my boss about that here in a bit. You guys stay warm because you're in the rest of the country, which has got a fucking frozen burrito syndrome going on right now, and you're not going to thaw out for any time quick.
I'm just glad that the snow warnings that we've been getting have not been snow warnings. Like 4:00 this morning, I wake up to an alert saying, "Oh, there's possible snow this morning." I'm thinking, "Oh Christ, I gotta shovel the sidewalk." No snow, so yay! I'm hoping that it's just up in the mountains so that we have our canals filled by springtime. I don't want to be shoveling snow if I can help it, but we definitely need.
I just moved to San Antonio, so I wouldn't have to worry about a snow shovel or ice scraper. So I got to get an ice scraper. That sucks.
Yeah, I just bought one with a brush on it. The only bad thing about them is it seems like every time I buy one, it has that scraper thing on the end. They never work. They're really shitty. A credit card works 10 times better. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, worst case scenario, if you live in a place that doesn't normally get snow and you're like starting to freeze, just carry a little plastic.
Yeah, just an old credit card,
broom.
Or one that like the free shit you get.
A squeegee in cold water. Don't do hot water. Because no physics. High school. Mm-hmm. I've seen some people up here do it, and I'm like, okay, they must be from California too.
One of my friends told me to get a can of Pam and spray it on the seal, around your door, and that will be so you'll be able to open your door, especially if you live somewhere where you don't get ice all the time, and that will make sure that you'll be able to open and close your door when it's frozen.
If you're shoveling snow, you spritz it with Pam. Mm-hmm. It doesn't clump up and get all heavy. Also, if you live in a cold climate like I do, where we have fluctuating temperatures, and the rubber seal around your windshield or your other windows might get brittle, don't use the methanol window de-icer. Go buy some RV antifreeze.
Put it in your water?
I can't think of the brand. There's one that's supposed to be like more environmentally friendly than the usual chemical shit that you would be using to de-ice your windows. It doesn't damage the rubber seals on your windows, and it does the exact same job, and I think it's cheaper in the long run for the amount that you purchase.
Well, all I know is that one time when I was young, I went outside. My mom was trying to scrape the window on our vehicle, and I went inside and I filled up a pan with really scalding hot water. I mean, it was like really hot. You couldn't put your hand in it. And I ran out and I
Oof.
threw it like that on the windshield and went cracks started going all through it. My mom just started screaming at me and I felt like shit. But I was trying to help. So don't ever do that.
Yeah, I've got a
Be
whole
patient.
history of me helping my family, and that's how my brother got his first scar above his eyebrow, and good times.
Well, I wish I hadn't done that, but that's a lesson I learned not to do. But I just want to say thanks to everybody for
Make your mistakes
stopping
and
by
get
and hanging out, watching us and stuff on X and on YouTube. I don't know what channels you're on. Are you on Rumble?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Rumble, Your Buddy 75, or the Den of America's Dungeon Master for anything D&D going. That's what I have two channels on Rumble, but for this is Your Buddy 75, and then the Den of America's Dungeon Master for everything D&D related. That's because we were talking about that about 6-7 years ago, like the Den of America's Dungeon Master. Like you were one of the first Pathfinder GMs out there, right? Yeah. Well, anyway, now that Paizo is completely like, some people are like, I want to keep playing Paizo just to stuff it in your face, like fuck you, I'm going to use your game no matter what. I could live by spite, but I just want to make a better game than them
Mm-hmm.
and offer it up at no cost, like what Paizo does. They put everything on the web. I'll do the same thing. I don't have the network they do where I have a $40,000 website, and here you go. Blah.
Why don't you set yourself up a Patreon and put it on there?
Subscribe star. I've got a subscribe star.
the Paizo
Yeah,
honeymoon
Paizo
is over. You know, you told each other you were going to grow old together, and now, yeah, you two are going to grow old together, but you're going to watch to see who dies first.
I'm not worried about Paizo. Jason made it known years ago what type of person he was. All of those guys they've been super fucking commie liberals since time immemorial. But they wrote a game that we could all get into, and we all played. And they back then the phrasing was, it doesn't really matter about politics. Just get your people to the table. And then over the course of time, things changed. And now we just can't play a fascist. Well, you know what, motherfucker? I'd rather be a fascist than a faggot.
Tommy stuff.
But don't you have to?
It's kind of
Can't
like
you
World
do
War
that?
II.
Can't you play either side?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
You know,
So
it's just,
It's your game,
yeah,
your table.
and that's
Do
the
what you
thing.
want.
that's
Don't
what I'm
let these
saying. So
companies
just do whatever
dictate
you want and
otherwise.
make them look as bad as possible,
And that's
and do
what
it
I'm
and
doing.
air it.
You can't copyright game rules. Okay, game rule. The Supreme Court's already ruled that. Can't copyright that. You can copyright the lore of your world, but my games are going to be written system neutral, or not system neutral, but world neutral. There's no campaign in the background. I'll mention Frog God Games once because I like them. I think they're really good. But if you don't want to use that, if you want to play in Greyhawk, great. If you want to go play in fucking Avalon, great. If you want to go fuck around in John Carter on Mars bullshit and Barsoom,
Yeah.
great. Go fucking play where you want to play. It's your table. It's always been your table. It never was anybody's game. Gary Gygax, the creator himself, said, if this doesn't work for you, figure out what does. Keep your table together. That was his fucking statement. Nowadays, Wizards of the Coast, the faggots that are ruining the D&D brand, are saying out there way too proudly, over 80% of gamers play D&D. That's really not correct. WotC doesn't have the metrics correct. They've got things really fouled up. About 50% of gamers play Dungeons and Dragons. And then out of that demo, only 70% are in with the new 5th edition shit and wanting to get into the 6th edition. WotC disparages people from playing anything that's over 5 years old. They are the Leonardo DiCaprio of game companies. Divorce yourself. Get away from that. It's garbage. And just the less blue hairs you have in your fucking life, the happier you're going to be. Get yourself a big titty goth girl that wants to be a trad wife. Make her happy.
Word up.
Yep.
Did I say that aloud?
Just be good to her.
All right. I got to work tomorrow at 2 a.m. Awesome. That's what I was texting on my phone a minute ago. So now that I know that, let me go grab some food and then hover down and get some sleep. You all be great. That's it. You're like, it's going to be cold as shit. Go be great. Good night, all.
Cuddle.